Storytelling Summary Script, Katabasis by R.F. Kuang. A descent begins. Katabasis means a descent, and in R.F. Kuang's novel, this descent is not only physical, but also emotional, spiritual, and moral. The story begins with characters already marked by the weight of choices they cannot undo. Every step forward feels like a step downward into darker corridors of history and memory. The reader is drawn into a world scarred by violence, betrayal, and the heavy shadow of empire. Kuang does not waste time with gentle introductions. Instead, she plunges us straight into a landscape where survival means confronting pain head-on. From the very start, the tone is raw and unflinching. We meet companions who carry their wounds like armor. Some are visible scars, others are invisible, buried deep in the psyche. Yet each carries significance. Kuang's genius lies in how she paints them, not as flawless heroes, but as people fractured by war, guilt, and longing for redemption. The descent begins not with a dramatic fall, but with quiet acknowledgement that no one escapes the past unscathed. The first chapters make clear, this is not a tale of triumph, but of reckoning. Every decision will carve deeper into already tender flesh. Every revelation will test bonds of loyalty and love. And so, the descent begins. Shadows of the past. The companions cannot move forward without carrying the weight of what came before. Memories surface in flashes, moments of cruelty, of fire, of betrayals that tore families and nations apart. Kuang does not romanticize history. She shows how trauma is inherited, passed down like scars and bloodlines. One character recalls the night villages burned. Another remembers the silence of abandoned temples where prayers went unanswered. These recollections shape their journey. Each step forward feels like dragging chains behind them. There is anger in their hearts, but also fatigue. They question whether redemption is possible when the past never loosens its grip. What good is forgiveness when the dead still whisper in the dark? The descent deepens as the group realizes their memories are not private burdens, but shared curses. Every story overlaps with another, creating a tangled web of grief. To survive, they must confront these shadows together, or risk being consumed alone. Kuang masterfully ties personal trauma to larger political wounds. Empires may collapse, but the scars remain in people's bones. And in this novel, history itself feels like a character, haunting every page. Bonds tested. As the companions push deeper into their journey, the true test is not the terrain but one another. Trust becomes fragile. Old alliances crack under pressure, while new loyalties form in unexpected ways. Kuang writes dialogue that cuts like knives, sharp, honest, and dripping with emotion. When tempers flare, silence is often more painful than shouted words. There are moments of tenderness too. Small acts, sharing food, standing guard through the night, patching wounds, become lifelines. But these fragile connections are always under threat. One betrayal can undo months of hard-won trust. The question at the heart of this section is, how far can companionship carry people who are already broken? Kuang forces us to consider whether love, friendship, or duty can survive when every path is lined with loss. By now, the journey is not just about survival, but about endurance. The descent does not pause. It deepens, pulling everyone closer to the point of no return. The landscape of ruin. The setting becomes a mirror of the characters' turmoil. Ruins of old cities loom like monuments to forgotten glory. Forests whisper with secrets of those who perished. Rivers carry the stench of decay. Every stone seems to tell a story of suffering. Kuang uses the environment to heighten the emotional stakes. The companions move through landscapes that challenge not only their bodies, but also their spirits. Each ruined place is a reminder of what has been lost, and of what might yet be destroyed if they fail. One striking image is the crossing of a desolate plain, where the horizon seems endless, and silence presses like a weight on their chests. Here, the companions feel the enormity of their task. The world is vast, but hope feels unbearably small. The land itself seems complicit in their suffering, as though punishing them for the sins of generations past. Yet within this bleakness, moments of beauty flicker, a flower blooming through rubble, a night sky glittering with stubborn stars. The landscape is not just backdrop. It is teacher, punisher, and prophet of what lies ahead. Confrontations within. The deeper the journey, the louder the voices within. Each character wrestles with inner demons, regrets that claw at their hearts, doubts that poison decisions. Kuang gives these internal battles the weight of external conflict. A whispered thought can feel as dangerous as a drawn blade. One companion questions whether they deserve to live at all, haunted by choices that led others to ruin. Another struggles with loyalty, torn between love for the group and devotion to ideals that demand sacrifice. These are not abstract conflicts, but intimate struggles that bleed into every interaction. The descent here becomes unmistakably psychological. To move forward, they must first face themselves. And for some, that confrontation is unbearable. Kuang forces the reader to sit with discomfort. There are no easy answers, no quick resolutions. The descent teaches that to face darkness outside, one must first acknowledge the darkness within. The breaking point. Every descent reaches a moment where the path collapses beneath your feet. For Kuang's characters, this breaking point is both literal and metaphorical. A betrayal shatters trust. A death fractures the fragile unity. Hope thins to a thread. Here, Kuang writes with devastating clarity, the companions realize there is no way back. What has been lost cannot be restored. Choices made in desperation cannot be undone. The descent is complete. There is no bottom, only deeper layers of grief. And yet even here, a question flickers. What now? If there is no redemption, is there at least meaning? If survival feels hollow, can sacrifice give weight to suffering? This is Kuang at her most powerful, forcing characters and readers alike to confront despair without turning away. The descent is not just endured. It is lived, breathed, and etched into every soul who survives. What remains? The final movement of Katabasis is not triumph, but aftermath. Survivors emerge from the descent altered forever. They are not healed, but scarred. They are not redeemed, but changed. What remains is not victory, but truth. The past cannot be erased, only carried differently. The companions who endure are no longer the same as those who began. Their bonds, though battered, hold threads of resilience. The landscape, though scarred, still blooms in fragments. Life, stubborn as ever, pushes forward. Kuang closes, not with resolution, but with resonance. The descent teaches that to live is to carry both grief and hope, side by side. There is no final escape from pain, but there is strength in bearing it together. The novel ends where it began, in shadows, but now the reader understands them more deeply. The descent has been made. What remains is the hard, unglamorous work of living on,